The floodgates for retail capital have just been completely blown off their hinges. A feature that I've been talking about for the past few months has finally gone live, allowing Coinbase's 100 million plus users to go buy tiny microcap altcoins from Base directly on the Coinbase app. This, in my opinion, is an absolute game changer when it comes to Base tokens. So in this video, I'm gonna be sharing the top 3 plays that I'm making right now to try to front run what I believe is going to be a retail induced mania around Base tokens going into 2026, including a brand new altcoin that I just got into I've never talked about before, as well as I'll be doing a brief update on some of the altcoins we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, including tokens like AFFLIATE, just to dive into how they held up during the broader market sell-off over last week. Okay, as mentioned, Coinbase has gone through a massive upgrade where they've basically de facto listed every single token on Base on the mainstream normal Coinbase app. And when I say mainstream normal Coinbase app, I'm not talking about the Coinbase wallet. I'm not talking about some other Coinbase app. I'm talking about the normal Coinbase app and website that most of retail goes to buy their tokens. The same one your grandma or uncle or whoever, random family member who doesn't know how to use a crypto wallet probably uses. The main Coinbase site now lists every single Base token on the site, and you can buy those tokens directly through Coinbase, which is absolutely insane. If you don't know what I'm talking about because you are a retail investor, there is an entire world that I'm really not going to dive into because this would be a long video. But there's an entire world of tokens all on chain that up until this point, most of retail has actually not had access to. In fact, usually retail only gets access to these tokens once a big exchange like Coinbase ends up listing these tokens because they've gotten so much volume or they're big enough and important enough for Coinbase to list them. But a lot of us who trade on chain, and trade on Base or Solana or Ethereum or whatever, we get the earliest access to these opportunities, often getting into tokens when they're tiny. And we'll get to ride the early gains in these tokens, and we actually celebrate when they get listed on Coinbase because that means a lot of retail buyers are going to come and buy our bags and pump that token even higher. But now Coinbase has kind of changed the game so that retail have access to a ridiculous amount of new tokens that they can buy at stupid low market caps. For example, to show you what I mean, this is Aura token. This is on Solana network. And this is what it typically used to look like when you would go look up a small token on Coinbase. It would show the token, but then it would say Aura is tradable on Coinbase wallet. You got to go get a wallet, download it, learn how to use it, set it up, and then buy on a DEX if you want to get access to this token. And this is actually a pretty decently sized token. It's currently sitting at 68 million in market cap. So it's a pretty decently sized token on Solana. This is Hannah, an AI agent token that I've talked about in past videos that's listed on Base. And the market cap for this token is sitting at a tiny 808,000. Okay, so the other one was 68 million. This one's just at 808,000. It is ridiculously tiny. Its volume in the past 24 hours is $8,000. Okay, so this is a absurdly tiny token that an exchange would never, ever list. And yet, when I go directly to Coinbase, I can buy Hannah directly on Coinbase. I don't get a Coinbase wallet pop-up, but it gives me the option to directly buy Hannah on Coinbase without ever having to go download a wallet, learn how to set it up or anything. If I was just a retail user, I had no experience in crypto, I could pop onto Coinbase and go buy this token. And you can see there's something a little bit different about this page. Up here in the corner, it's got this little DEX icon. And when you click on it, it says, what are DEX assets? You can now trade assets available on third-party decentralized exchanges, DEX, directly on Coinbase. They're given a DEX label and are not reviewed by Coinbase. This is a part of Coinbase's DEX initiative. And the description says DEX, decentralized trading, is now integrated directly into the Coinbase app. Just open, explore, and trade up to millions of assets within moments of launching on chain. And as you can see, it's not just Hannah. If I go search Una, which again also is a really tiny token, currently sitting at 27 million in market cap, I can also buy Una directly on Coinbase as well, where previously, just a few months ago, if I were to go try to buy Una on Coinbase, I would get that same Coinbase wallet pop-up where I wouldn't be able to buy it until I've downloaded a wallet, set that up, and then went to a DEX to go buy this wallet. It's a much more difficult experience for most of retail who doesn't know how to do that. They get confused when they get into the process of downloading a wallet, etc. And really, they just stick to buying the assets that they can get directly on Coinbase. According to the website, DEX trading is currently rolling out to users in the United States, excluding New York State. So if you're an international user or you're in the state of New York, you're not going to have access to this DEX trading. But for the other 100 million plus retail users located in the US, they do now directly have access to this feature, or at least the majority of them should. From my experience, the majority of users do seem to have this feature integrated into Coinbase at this point. I'm not sure if New York will get access or how that'll work because they have really strict, weird laws around crypto. But internationally, that rollout should happen next, where all users of Coinbase should be able to directly access all of these base tokens directly from the Coinbase app. And I really can't understate how absolutely absurd this is. Like, retail has never gotten a taste of these super tiny micro cap altcoins. These are the same people that have driven XRP to absurd levels because they think it's a tiny asset, okay? Those kind of investors are the ones that are more likely to only buy directly on Coinbase and not go get on chain, okay? They don't have the technical expertise. They don't even understand what a market cap is, the majority of these people, okay? So they're not getting on chain. They're not downloading a wallet. They're just clicking buy on Coinbase. And now every single base asset is available to them for buying. The thing is, the market just hasn't figured this out yet. Like, I haven't really, I saw videos about when they made the announcement on this, but I haven't seen really any content on this whatsoever, which is absurd and crazy to me because this is huge. This is massive, massive deal. And once people figure this out, once all the TikTok, streamers or whatever who are pumping XRP figure this out, they're going to start shilling all these micro cap tokens where they weren't before because it was too difficult for the audience to get in. Where now they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this micro cap. Now their potential catalog of tokens that they could talk about is fully expanded. My point is, once people figure this out, you are going to see a huge influx in buyers of base tokens, which means we have the opportunity right now to front run those buyers by pre-establishing ourselves in some of these base positions that look decent before the retail flood comes in and bids a lot of these assets significantly higher. And so with that, I have 3 different plays that I'm currently making on the base chain to kind of try to front run this wave of retail buyers. 2 of those tokens, you guys have heard me talk about a million times. Obviously, I'm pretty consistent on sticking with the same tokens. And the third token I've never talked about before. It's a brand new one, but kind of built around this thesis that we're going to get an influx of retail buyers on the base chain because of this integration and kind of the second and third order effects of what I believe that'll cause, leading to why I believe this token will succeed. The first token, of course, is Unagi or Una. I've talked about this token all the time. Their tagline is building the future of AI and Web3 entertainment. Unagi was founded by ex-Ubisoft execs in 2022. I have been following this team since 2023. I got really heavy into their NFT collection Persona. I've made close to $30,000 just by staking these NFTs. I tried to get a bunch of you guys to come check it out, but it was kind of in the depths of the bear and nobody wanted to touch NFTs back then. But it's turned out to be a really insanely good play. On top of that, I got in really heavy on their Una token. And in 2024, we saw Persona really push into AI. Not only AI gaming and AI entertainment, but like a bunch of other cool stuff. As I pointed out many times before, they built this entire app called Hana Studios, which is basically an aggregator for all the best AI generation models. They've been using AI agents working together to grow their views on Giphy, and they've gotten to more than 1 million daily views on Giphy. If you guys are familiar, this was a really similar strategy, except without AI agents, that Pudgy Penguins pioneered early on, where they were trying to build up their IP on Giphy, on Instagram, etc. And then they used that IP as a launching pad to do everything that they've done since. And at its height, Pengu reached a market cap of over $2.5 billion. And even though a lot of people are saying NFTs are dead, the Pudgy Penguins floor price is currently sitting at $42,000, meaning the cheapest you could buy one of these NFTs today is $42,000. Basically showcasing that their IP building strategy has really played out well for them as a brand. And this is a strategy that Unagi is also trying to employ, but they're heavily utilizing AI and kind of pioneering these tactics that I don't think anyone else is doing. And I would not bet against them. Recently, they did a council call. So you have to have one of these special NFTs that are called a council NFT. I was lucky enough to get one of these really early on. And during that council call, they shared a ton of alpha as to what they're building in the near future. Currently, they're not sharing that widely yet. It was sort of like an exclusive preview just for council holders. But let me just say, it absolutely blew my mind. I literally had to stop them talking, I don't know, like 10 times to tell them how absolutely mind-blowing what they're doing is and how pumped I was for the direction that they're going. And I wasn't the only one that said this. They've talked with a couple bigger teams in the space. I don't want to give away too much. It's an absolutely insane vision. It's got me really pumped at the direction they're going. But even beyond that, if for some reason like that were to fail or whatever, this is a team I just wouldn't bet against. They have the drive and they have the creative like vision and just like, I don't know, they just got it. And I'm convinced it's just a matter of time until eventually one of these things they do really catches traction and you see this team really explode, because they're just a really, really talented team building something extremely unique in the crypto space. And to try to educate the retail masses on market caps and just like how to compare the size of these tokens. If Unagi token were to hit the market cap of XRP, an investment of $1,000 would grow to $6.3 million. That is how tiny Unagi is today. It is so tiny that if it were to grow to the market cap of XRP, which is a huge, huge project, by the way, it is the third largest token in all of crypto. You have been psyoped if you think this thing is tiny. But if Unagi were to go to the market cap of XRP, each token would be worth $262. I don't think it's going to go to the market cap of XRP. Just to be clear, that would be absurd, absolutely absurd, because XRP is at an absurd market cap. I'm just showcasing how tiny this token is today, meaning it's just got a lot of room for upside. And I think it is kind of fitting in some ways to compare it to XRP, because the people that just got access to this token are the same people that have bid XRP to the moon, that just sit on Coinbase and buy, whatever asset is spoon-fed them. They now have access to buy Una directly on Coinbase. The second token is going to be a really quick one, and that's Hannah by Virtuals. This goes along with Una. This is the AI agent kind of main character where Disney has Mickey Mouse, right? Persona has Hannah. And Hannah has her own website and a bunch of cool features and things that she does. They're continually expanding out her feature set and what she's capable of. And as mentioned, they built Hannah Studios, which goes in line with Hannah, which already gives her more utility than like 99% of AI agent tokens that basically just tweet at you on X. Some of these things went to like $200 million in market cap, and they literally do nothing. And my thesis behind this one is basically that we saw a really big wave of AI agents where like these things were going nuts and crazy, but then it kind of died off. This went in line with the Trump rally in late 2024. AI agents went crazy. They made a ton of money, and then they kind of died off. We had the tariff madness and all that kind of stuff. But I think we'll see another resurgence of this in the same way that kind of every narrative ends up rotating back. We saw this with meme coins where they died off, then they came back, then they died off, then they came back. We saw this with perp dexes. If you guys remember, perp dexes were huge back in 2023 with GMX and, a bunch of these other dexes where everyone was, back then, Arthur Hayes was buying GMX and he was shilling GMX and saying that one was going to go to the moon. Then perp dexes died off. Nobody really, they didn't die off, but like as a narrative that like they kind of fell out of fashion. And then they came back and they were even bigger the second time with Hype and, Astar and all these other ones, okay? And so in the same way, I think we're going to see AI agents also do another rotation. But when it comes back, I think it's going to be even bigger. And right now, Hannah is currently sitting at $808,000 in market cap. And if we were to go to the market cap of some of the other tokens like AI XBT, and consider this is during a slump in the AI agent meta, like the narrative's not in vogue right now. So this thing's way down from where it was. It was sitting at a market cap of $755 million. So it's down a ton. But if we were to go to the market cap that AI XBT is at today, that would be 110x, turning every $1,000 invested into 110,000. Now, the final token, which is a brand new token I've never talked about, is a really simple thesis that makes complete sense if you believe that we are going to see a wave of retail action on Base. Pump.fun has dominated the launchpad wars that we've seen over the past couple of years. They're basically a big launch pad for originally meme coins, but now it's kind of evolved into just a launch pad for tokens. Like people launch tokens there all the time. This team went from $0 to $100 million in revenue in 6 months. It's actually the fastest any company on the planet has ever gone from 0 to 100 million. They make an absurd amount of money because there's just an absurd amount of money to be made in people gambling and speculating on tokens and token launches. And their token pump launched well after all of this was really popular. In fact, it launched at a time when most people were kind of dumping on meme coins and not really into them as much. Even though volumes kept climbing higher, sentiment in the narrative around meme coins, it kind of fallen into a ditch. And despite that, it reached a market cap at its height of around $3 billion. And that was actually really recently. I think if this would have launched back in late 2024, we would have seen this hit a market cap of like $20 billion easy. Again, this project makes absurd amounts of money hand over fist. And so it's really easy to say, hey, if they're making billions of dollars, why are they only valued at 3 billion? Why wouldn't they be valued at 20 billion, etc.? Okay, so that's the current setup today. But the reality is that anyone that wants to buy these meme coins does have to learn how to set up a Phantom wallet, get on chain, and go through that process. It is a bit of a process. It is difficult for most people to do. And so you still have this huge swath of retail investors who actually have not participated in this at all. Despite a lot of people feeling like, hey, retail's gotten really heavy into memes, that just isn't super accurate. A lot of this has been like crypto native activity. Sure, there has been some retail involvement getting on Phantom, etc., but they're kind of the forefront of retail investors who do have a little bit more of the technical know-how to do these things. But the Coinbase traders who just kind of sit on Coinbase and buy XRP, they have not really had the experience of like the meme coins or launch pads and all this kind of stuff. And my belief is that like a lot of this market does feel kind of tapped. Not that I don't think, I don't think meme coins are going away anytime soon. But you even see Pump.Fun, they're expanding into live streams. They're trying to do anything they can. They're sharing the profits now to try to get activity going on Pump.Fun because the market has it does feel kind of exhausted in some ways. And I was thinking about all this and I was trying to think about like where this meta would go in the future. And then it really hit me how overpowered it is that today, if you were to go launch a meme coin on Base, it's listed on Coinbase from day one, which basically unlocks this entire new audience of buyers who haven't really been present in the trenches up to this point. And just thinking from my own perspective, I really don't buy any meme coins. But if I were going to buy a meme coin at this point, I would much rather go buy it on Base, where the market's a lot less extractive and it's a lot less cutthroat. And where I know there's this huge swath of retail buyers who can easily go buy that meme directly on Coinbase. And then it hit me that obviously once people figure this out, you're going to see a ton of people launching meme coins on Base and then promoting those meme coins on Base, which means we should see some sort of launch pad to compete with Pump.Fun kind of rise up from the ashes over on Base. And if it does well, which there's a really strong case to say not only would it do well, but it could do exceedingly well, even eclipse what we're seeing here with Pump, there's a lot of money to be made by buying that token or that launch pad really early on, which is why I became interested in Flaunch. Flaunch is basically a competitor to Pump.Fun, but natively on Base with some neat twists on design that really set it apart. And I think like a pretty ambitious roadmap for where it wants to end up. And right now, Flaunch's biggest competitor is a site called Clanker. And Clanker is currently the single biggest platform on Base when it comes to launching tokens. And the reason I believe Clanker is number one is because it launched first. And it launched during the Trump mania when everyone was wanting to buy these tokens. Or Flaunch launched months later when the market had really died down and it got much less attention. But if you even just look at Clanker, the website is really bare bones. There's just not a lot of creativity going on here with what they're building. And it really does feel like the most of their success comes from having been a first mover and having not really seen another wave of like meme coin token launchpad mania. On top of that, I also believe some of the success behind Clanker has to do with the fact that it's just so easy to launch a token. In some cases, you can just tag the bot on X or Farcaster or whatever, and it'll launch a token for you just by sending out a tweet. Where Flaunch historically has been a little bit more of a process to launch a token, even though the UI is really slick. And that's because they have a lot more advanced features when it comes to launching a token. For example, you could do things like auto buybacks on the token, where the fee revenue is used to auto buy back the token and kind of support the community, as well as a bunch of other features. On top of that, they also recently announced Flaunch groups, which I've never seen anything like this anywhere. Like this is a brand new concept in the crypto space, basically allowing you to bundle together a ton of different tokens and then share the fee structure from those tokens to those who are members of the group who come and take, for example, their tokens and stake them in the group. Flaunch also has an entire backend for builders to integrate what they've built into their projects, meaning other people could launch their own launch pads on Base using the Flaunch backend. You could easily integrate tokenized user-generated content into your app or whatever, kind of like Zora. You could do crowdfunding using token launches. You can create in-game items, etc., using token launches using the Flaunch backend, prediction markets, and even more. The token for Flaunch is the AFFLIATE token or the FLAE token, which currently can be bought directly on Coinbase. via the DEX integration. The market cap for this token at the time of recording is around 16.8 million, meaning it's absolutely tiny. For example, if AFFLIATE were to hit the market cap of Pump.fun, an investment of $1,000 would grow to $113,000. And that's not accounting for things like alt season, etc. If we were in alt season, I think Pump's token would be significantly higher than it is today. Flaunch groups should be live this week. I think that'll be a decent catalyst to bring some more attention back to Flaunch. And as they describe Flaunch groups will turn culture into economies, create a group around an ERC20, stake the group's coin to earn ETH rewards, creators, holders, and group owners earn, works with coins launched anywhere, Zora, Clanker, Flaunch, and more. They're also launching their own mini app on the Base app. It's going to make it stupid easy to launch Flaunch coins. That's one of the things that they've been working on, is improving the speed and the ease when it comes to actually launching tokens to try to compete a little bit better with Clanker. As you can see, they have integrated a new feature called Fast Launch, which makes it a lot easier to launch these tokens. Bringing it back, overall, my thesis is really, really simple. I think we're going to see a just renaissance of tokens launched on Base, because specifically if you launch a meme coin or whatever on Base, it's instantly listed on Coinbase via this DEX integration, meaning they have this massive amount of distribution to new buyers of their token via Coinbase, via the masses of retail buyers who are able to buy and only buy through Coinbase. And because I believe we're going to see a lot of tokens launched on Coinbase, I believe there's a ridiculous amount of upside for apps like Flaunch. Again, Pump.fun was able to go from $0 to $100 million in revenue in just under 6 months because of all the hype it saw around meme coin launches or just token launches in general on Solana. And obviously Coinbase and Base are really heavily incentivized to want to see that activity on their own chain. As they say in their on their page, their DEX page, reach millions of Coinbase users on day one when you launch on Base. And they understand how powerful this is. And I just think that they're going to milk it for, what it's worth. So I believe they're going to really support these launch pads aggressively. I believe that Flaunch is by and far the single best launch pad that there is on Base at the moment. And I believe this qualifies as the exact type of asymmetric bet that I love to do, where the upside is just absolutely absurd. And a token like this, if it were to succeed, as I said, if you were to reach the size of Pump, which is no small feat, absolutely. But if you were to see a meaningful amount of those volumes and that price action move from Solana over to Base because of this Coinbase integration, that's definitely something, in my opinion, that's fully feasible for the winner of the Launchpad Wars on Base. I don't think that's ridiculous. In fact, I think that's talking about 100x. So that would take this to around $2 billion in market cap. But as I mentioned, if we had a full-on meme coin mania, I don't see why Pump wouldn't have been significantly higher, sitting around $20 billion in market cap. Which, if you were to see something like Flaunch move to that size of market cap, that's 1,000x from today's prices, turning every $1,000 invested into $1 million, which obviously that's absurd. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to happen. But that's the kind of bet that I like to make in the crypto space, because you know what? Maybe I am wrong. Maybe it only does a 10x or a 20x or a 30x, or maybe it's a complete dud. I don't know. But if I'm right, that's like life-changing. That's a life-changing amount of money. And it's a decent, solid enough thesis that I'm willing to put some cash in, make that bet, and just kind of see how it plays out. Now, I wanted to take a really quick look at Avo and kind of how it's held up post the kind of late last week sell-off that was pretty insane in crypto. If you don't know, last week we saw Bitcoin just absolutely fall off a cliff. We saw altcoins absolutely plummet. And despite that, Avo's actually held up really solidly, actually more than I wanted it to, because I was kind of hopeful that I'd be able to buy Avo at a discounted price. But every time I checked it, it's sitting up here at like $17, $18 million in market cap. And so it kind of feels like a consolidation period for Avo, where it's just building strength for that next breakout, which has me insanely bullish for this token given any sort of alt season. Like the fact that it's gone and run up this high and just sustained it and held those levels is insane to me. And this comes in line with them recently announcing their latest tokenomics share of 50% of fees to creators and buyback from revenue. Avo V2 almost being completed. It's expected to be done by October 3rd. The continued growth of the Avo community, just putting out absurd amounts of ridiculously good content around Avo, and them gearing up for taking Avo cross-chain, which means indexes and portfolios across other chains, etc. Just a lot of activity happening. I don't know why, for whatever reason, like every time the market dips, everyone always wants to ask me like, oh, are you still bullish on Avo? Are you still bullish on this token? Are you still bullish on this? And the answer is yes. Like I was not worried about the stupid dip last week. I said like everyone will forget about this in a couple weeks. Here we are next week and Bitcoin's already hitting 114K. Like people just need to chill out. pause and relax. Like, I believe all season is going well into 2026, and I believe all these tokens are going way, way higher. If you guys are interested in any of these tokens, I have links to all of them and how to buy in the description of this video. Including obviously all the ones that are on Coinbase. If you're based in the US and not in New York, you're going to be able to just buy those directly on Coinbase. But I'll also include links to the direct Coinbase pages as well in the description of my video. And really quick, the Obsidian Council is my private community where I share updates every time I buy or sell. I share my entire portfolio. I do weekly video market updates on the current state of the markets, these projects, everything in between, and a ton more. Currently, the Obsidian Council is closed to new members, but I'm opening it back up on October 7th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're interested in signing up, join the waitlist in the description of this video, and I'll be sending an email on October 7th when I open it back up. As always, none of this is investment advice. I'm obviously not your financial advisor, and you should always do your own research. If this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to be notified each time I release a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.